Thank you very much.
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Campbell. When we met in my office recently, we discussed the importance of the United States' continued commitment to implementing the Indo-Pacific strategy, but also the challenge of maintaining some sort of engagement with the PRC. Obviously, they're our greatest near-peer competitor. Obviously, they challenge us in national security, but we also have to be able to work with them collaboratively across the region to do things like counter climate change or counter the next global public health crisis, deal with economic crises as well. So to live up to our enormous potential, we need to approach this work through a coordinated whole-of-government approach. As you move from the NSC to the State Department, you come with very unique experiences, having been in DOD yourself. I'd like to invite you to speak briefly to how, if confirmed, you will ensure robust interagency coordination and continued strengthening of our position and our commitment to our partnership in the Indo-Pacific.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Duckworth. I do want to just underscore one thing that the senator said at the outset that's important. We've had a series of consultations. I think what I have been most pleased and impressed by in our private meetings, Senator Duckworth has come right at me and been clear about areas where we need to do better. And it was in 2021 that the senator came and said, you're not engaging Southeast Asia effectively enough. You need to do better. It was from those conversations that President Biden decided to invite all the ASEAN leaders to Washington, D.C. for the first time, a major diplomatic initiative that we've carried forward. And so I do want to underscore that these dialogues and discussions are important in the formulation and execution of our strategy. So even though it's painful, I want to thank you for that, Senator. Look, so for us to be effective in everything we do, there is a need for a much higher degree of coordination among all our tools of government. And so it's been said before, you know, we have one agency that's massive, huge, with huge resources at the Department of Defense, and other agencies with less resources. Nevertheless, there's huge capacity, economic, diplomatic, military, that need to be coordinated, particularly in the Indo-Pacific. I will say that if you look at much of our strategy, they involve key moving pieces and moving parts in each of the bureaucracies that I've laid out and beyond that. I do want to commit to you that if I am confirmed, I will continue to work as part of a collegial and engaged effort to ensure that the United States maintains a purposeful engagement in the Indo-Pacific. And I also want to thank you that you've constantly reminded us that even though we're facing hugely hard challenges as elsewhere, we have to be able to focus on the Indo-Pacific, and I'm committed to do that.
How do you assess our current staffing levels and resourcing for diplomatic missions across the Indo-Pacific? You know, the ASEAN mission, you know, I've talked to you about this. I think the ASEAN mission itself is understaffed. And also, how will you approach the challenge of balancing our need to invest in the region, even as we address other urgent crises around the globe? And I would say that our Africa experts will say that we're understaffed there too.
Yeah. So look, Senator, you know, there's a tendency. I worked in the Indo-Pacific, so I noted the lack of staff in the Pacific, the difficulty in setting up diplomatic offices there. I thought we had to be more innovative. I look at certain regions that I think maybe it might be, you know, have more staffing. I'm struck that some of our hardship posts in the Pacific and Africa, we have had difficulty in filling those. And so I recognize that it's not something you can look at just at one place. You have to look at the totality. I come down to with the inescapable conclusion is that we need to recruit more people. I love the idea of an innovative effort to look at how to modernize. As part of that, does that mean bringing in mid-career people? Does that mean being able to recruit from other walks of life, like the military and the like? I personally see, and I've seen it up close, and I'll just give you one quick story if I can, Senator. I remember last year I went to the Solomons for the first time. We landed in our plane, we got off, we were met at the airport by one diplomat, probably the most hard-charging guy I've ever met. And he was exhausted. He He was a one-person diplomacy in the Solomons, one of our most contested places. He was living in a hotel with his dog. And as we drove into town, we went by the gleaming Chinese embassy. Dozens and dozens of staffers. We just have to do better. We have to be able to find more resources and make sure that we get these people out into the field. And so, look, if I am confirmed, I am committed to doing that. I will do everything possible to make sure that our best and brightest, our most diverse, are serving in the key regions that are being contested that define American purpose.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.